Hey folks, welcome to Board Game Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
The High Council of the School of Life has announced the trial of nature's grace. You'll be taking legendary creatures through elemental realms, casting high-level spells, and going on a grand adventure, all to become the guardian of the realm. Such is the world of legendary creatures. So Legendary Creatures is for 2 to 4 players. It plays in about 60 to 90 minutes and is for ages 10 and up.
Now, when you first look at this game, it might be a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of beautiful art here and a lot of pieces. In fact, in addition to the individual player boards for up to 4 players, you'll see 7 individual game boards here.
Which are the different elemental realms.
The different 4 of those are the different elemental realms, and there's some auxiliary ones as well. One is for tracking your day counters. You'll see a lot of resource pieces. You'll see these renown pieces. You'll see spells. You'll see amulets. You'll see gifts. And it might seem like a lot's going on, and there is actually a lot going on, but don't be overwhelmed by that, because once you understand the fundamentals of the game, it all falls into place nicely. The basic premise of the game is that you, and as Mark said, the various apprentices in this school of life are competing for becoming the guardian of the realm. And you do that by using your familiars, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the term familiar, in magic, a familiar is a creature, an animal, that's the focal point of your spells or your magic. So think of it as a mascot. So everybody's got 4 of their mascots, their familiars, which they're going to be running 1 each on each of 4 individual racetracks, and those racetracks are in 4 elemental realms. So each of the players are trying to move their creature out front, and each place on the track is worth some degree of renown or fame. And so you're trying to determine which creatures you should move. There's definitely benefits in moving some creatures over others, but you do this not just by casting spells, but you enlist the help of these legendary creatures. Each person, and I think we can say this term because there's no copyrights here. There is a certain similarity with what you might be familiar with Harry Potter and Hogwarts and such.
There's definitely some of that feel to it.
There is. But the theme here is pervasive throughout, but it's not so pervasive that if you don't like magic or Harry Potter, that you won't find yourself engaged in the game. There's a lot of clever mechanics, and what this is you are invoking these additional creatures and their individual powers so that you can move your creatures along the track. And in the end, there's a lot of different benefits. Over the course of 3 days, I believe.
3 days.
And each day has 3 phases?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 phases. And you have a small deck of cards that you can exchange the creatures with creatures in the wild, if you will. So all of this, again, falls together nicely. And we'll tell you more about our thoughts in a minute.
That's right. Okay, you know, this video is not really to teach you how to play the game or even give you a review. We really just want to give you a flavor, a taste of the game, and see if it's something that you will find interesting and worth backing. So some of the things about this, and really what's neat I find, is that you have all these legendary creatures, truly familiars, that you are trying to curry their favor really at the end of the game as well. And there's just a lot to choose from. There's some really fun, whimsical ones we'll take a look at here in a minute, but it really adds to the flavor of the game. There's a lot of theme going on here, and like Randy said before, you don't have to be hip deep into the mythos or whatever to really get a real flavor of the funness here. or funness. But some of the things that there's a lot of fun resource management that's going on, and you're gaining power and you're gaining elements to move a creature in one element or in one realm or the other. And you know, some of the things you have to be careful of, right, is that you don't spread yourself too thin.
Absolutely,
You've got to kind of focus on at least a couple tracks.
The same token, though, the thing there's a lot of mechanisms to the game, and one of the things I like is what I call axes of investment. There's a lot of different ways you can invest yourself. There's not just, okay, this is a linear thing, I got to move my creatures down the track, because Mark was talking about focusing, and that's important, but if you focus too much, when you move your creature all the way to the last space on the track, you lose the ability to have gifts anymore, and these little booster things. So it's like
each of the realms have that.
Yeah, so you go, do I want to move to the last spot? The last spot has got lots of points associated with it, and if I get to the last spot third, I get far less points than if I get there first. And in fact, if I get there fourth, I don't know if I get any points at all. I guess I can't move into it. So you're saying, do I want to move there now, get additional points at the cost of losing the gift of the realm? Or do I hang back here and let somebody else have the chance of getting there before me, but at least I get to hang on to this thing that lets me move my other creatures better? So those trade-offs, I think, are very interesting choices in the game.
And I think that's where one of the really strong factors of this game is that there are a lot of interesting choices.
Yeah, there are.
You have to decide if you're going to use spells, you're going to use amulets, you're going to use the powers of the realms, and how you're going to balance all that stuff. And you also have to decide if you want to potentially go after some different creatures to, you know, it's kind of that deck building thing that's going on. Well, it is the deck building thing, and you're trying to hopefully bring those more powerful creatures into play later in the other days.
And just one of the axes of investment is the deck building thing, which I do like. But just to set your expectations, this is not a heavy deck builder. No. You're only going to go through your deck once each of 3 days. Right. So you start with 12 cards, and you deal 4 cards out each phase of the day. So across 3 phases of the day, you'll deal 12 cards. And you have a chance during each phase to swap cards from your standard deck with creatures in the wild. And so there is some light deck building.
Right.
And for people who want to think ahead, it's like, okay, now if I get this creature and this creature, then tomorrow, if those come up together, I'm going to be awesome.
Right.
But you don't have to, and that's it. So people who don't like deck builders can focus in other areas, and they'll do just fine.
And I think you've played it twice, or I can't remember. And I played it 3 times, and I've tried a couple different ways of dealing with creatures. I even just did one with just keeping my base creatures, and I'm finding that it really does pay off to at least get at least 1 or 2 upgraded characters or creatures,
even if they don't come up together.
Even if they don't.
The fact is, the creatures in the wild tend to be a little bit upgraded from your standard creatures. Absolutely. And one of the novel things about it is the way the creatures come out in the wild. This isn't just a shuffle and put 3 piles with the top card face up. You actually are layering creatures of the same type. So it is possible for you to say, look, I want a multitude of that creature type. So in each of the phases during a given day, I will take those 3, provided nobody else gets there before. So you might have, you can stack your deck, if you will, with an abundance of a particular creature type, if you find that works for you.
Right. Yeah. And the creatures are what dictate what kind of resources you get for your track. And there's those great moments in this game where you're like, oh man, if I just had 1 more power. Yeah. Or it was just some really fun moments like that. And you're like, no. And then Randy jumps up 3 spaces ahead of you.
Didn't happen, no.
No, not at all. So I really enjoyed those aspects, and again, the artwork, I really like the direction they're going. Again, all the stuff we're showing you is all prototype, so I can't speak to the fact of what the final art and production level is going to be, but even this prototype is pretty high.
Oh,
so I think
beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And it's interesting, the modular boards, how they did that too.
Yeah, right? and that's one of the things I was mentioning before about it can be a little bit overwhelming. We say, look at all these pieces, and you have, in addition to all the boards, you start out with a deck of creatures. You have the creatures in the wild. You have an amulet, which you'll get at random or drafted. You have the gifts of the realm, which go to the leader in each realm at the end of the day. You have spells. You have these expedition points and the landmark cards, which you get. And so again, you look at this like, oh, there's so much going on. But seriously, it it is very logical. It feels natural once you've played it through once, and it provides a ton of replayability. In fact, when we finished playing the other night, I thought, boy, I really would like to play that again to explore different areas of investment.
And to explore different creatures.
Right, right.
Yeah, I really like that.
And the creatures themselves are novel in the sense that you have a variety of ways of playing them. Not only do they have their own little affinity up here, and you can use them to collect magic. Well, something we haven't mentioned is moving up the track in each realm requires not just magic, but also resources of that realm type. Now, what's both a limiter and an interesting part of the game is that you choose one particular realm to move in during a given day. If you have a particular gift or ability, you can move creatures in other realms as well. By requiring you to invest both magic and resources of that type, you think, well, it's gonna shoehorn me into one. But the fact is, you can trade in 2 resources for a resource of any other type.
Yeah.
And like I said, you have the Gift of Air, I believe, which lets you move in other tracks. So you can say, look, I'm just gonna get a boatload of air tokens. Then I'm gonna choose to move in the fire realm.
Right.
And I'm just gonna trade my 20 in for 10 of these, and I'm just gonna race ahead. So I find that as you're thinking and planning, it gives you lots of opportunities to maybe change the direction from what would be intuitively obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think I really enjoy all the different decision making you can do.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the neat thing about the amulets is that you're not just stuck with the amulet.
No, that's true.
You can swap amulets with people if they haven't used them yet, things like that. So there's a lot of neat little bits like that can totally change the game. And every game I've played has been not like vastly different, but a different experience, which has been really fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the basics mechanics are the same, obviously, but it's just really neat how it plays out differently each time.
And the other thing I was going to mention about the creatures is that in addition to using them to get magic, you can also invoke a couple of characteristics or abilities.
Abilities of them, yeah.
And you can, because there's 2 of them, you might play the same creatures 3 games in a row and use them completely differently.
Yeah.
So lots of areas, or like I said, axes of investment, lots of choices. So if this is a type of game you like, I want to say it is a family-friendly game. I think it's a very family-friendly game. Yeah. I wouldn't put it for young kids because of so many choices. But it's a game that you could sit down with your older kids and have them be completely fascinated. You can put on Fantastic Beasts in the background and play this game.
Exactly. So yeah, folks, if this is something you think you might really enjoy, I'm sure they would definitely appreciate your support.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed it, but you should give it a closer look. So I think that's it for us.
That's it for now.
All right, folks. Until next time.
Take a look. Oh,
wow!
We've never done that before. I was going to say. Till next time, take a look at Legendary Creatures on Kickstarter.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, until next time,
we'll see you at the table.